Welcome to another Kamigawa Unpacking. Today we learn more essential story points from Kamigawa's history and more about who tells us about that history, and we see some landmarks that show us parts of Kamigawa that will always persist. Thank you for attending and let's begin. We start with one of the full art islands, this one from Kamigawa. We see shadows on the trees here, beautifully removing them to the background, as this is not a forest, but a beautiful piece in nature. The waterfalls that lead downwards are given swirling motions to let your eyes be drawn to them. First to see the large stream and then to the two smaller ones. We see more spirits as we move down. The wisps with things like eyes in them, they are like droplets in the air, and some even move into the water. The longer I watch, the more of them I see. When I get to the bottom of the falls, I first see one of the frog spirits, with a leaf bag hanging from a stick. Such a playful creature, showing us the relaxed nature of these river frogs. One sits on the bench next to the lotus and the big lantern. And farther into the back, we see three frog children playing in the meadows. This piece has so many small Easter eggs that I have found big respect for Kamigawa from this one work. We move on to a simple elegant creature called Iron Apprentice. A 1-mana 0/0 that enters with a 1+1 counter. When it dies, you may put all of its counters on something else. The art from Kekai Kotaki shows us a proud crab-like robot. It seems proud because it holds the wrench for his master, so high, and his pompadour is set straight up, that he must want to be seen. Even the small holes in his legs seem slightly smug. The robot lives in a small workshop. We see an opening to the streets as if people will walk up to buy a katana for on the go. His two raised feet and the small two links of a chain portray slight speed from this little helper, and in the background of the streets we see a tone of Sokenzan, the rebel mountain lands, which is the lava pouring down from everywhere, as this place is one big forge. A place where artifice thrives over enchantments and craft is more important than invention. The Sokenzan just work and their robots are made to do even more backbusting work. One cute mechanical flavor win is that the Iron Apprentice leaves behind the wrench he is wearing as a +1 counter for its creator. Simeon's sling features a monkey that can be equipped as it sits on your shoulder. The little guy throws snowballs which deal 1 damage whenever you attack, and you become a little bit stronger because you are encouraged by the little monkey on your shoulder. Kumano is a human monk that lived in the mountains without food or water for a long time. He would hone his powers by meditating for days until he became who he was. While he sat on the top of the world, he wanted to continue to live in peace, but people began to tell myths about Kumano, until every kami thought to seek help with him. For that, they had to climb mountains. So, the ones that reached him would be angry for having to travel, and then learning that Kumano had no secret at all. He just strengthened his body. They fought him, and without the strength of Kumano they all perished. Stronger and stronger beings would come to him. As with every battle won, Kumano's story became grander as well. At some point even the kami of his beloved mountains would attack him. The mountains that had strengthened him did not possess the powers of the shaman himself, and even they perished. These fights are represented by the 1 damage. Kumano then became a teacher, represented by the +1 counters. In the art we see Kakazan at the top, the crocodile man kami with a club twice his size. As the story said, below we see Kumano, as the story said, and the staff, as the story said, which would be able to light a fire. After the battle, Kumano would have lost his strength. Being exhausted from the battle, he conceded and went down because he had to and he didn't have the strength to stay in his beloved mountains. Kami could not usually be killed, so Kakazan also survived the battle. Still, Kumano promised to kill the kami that was telling these lies, and he apparently succeeded. Because the creature side of Kumano has the ability to exile creatures. We see in the flavor here that many kami come to demand a secret he did not know, and every one of them fell. Apparently he ascended again later in order to defeat the Kami of misinformation. Maybe. We do know that Kumano continued to teach his students from discard Kumano's pupils. And we do know that Kumano's weapon has his same ability. And interestingly, this flavor quotes General Takeno from the human side and saying that they received an anonymous letter suggesting that Kumano holds the secret to defeating the Kami. Interestingly now, not only the Kami, but also the humans are looking for this master. Kumano meanwhile still looks for peace and likes to stay in a state of enlightenment. Much like a master who is supposed to learn to deal with others on his path to that same enlightenment. After just one battle he will lose his powers again and will have to meditate for another long time. Not everyone is as peaceful as Kumano. The people that keep on battling feed the Kami of ancient wars. We see their burning swords with many creatures from this set. This 3 mana 2/2 with first strike means business, so its power is to deal damage equal to your shrines to a player. The flavors of shrines in this set always say that they are seeking for something and that they would offer something in return. This one flavor says that it seeks people consumed by rage and offers them their burning blades. Johannes Vos made sure to include these 17 burning blades in an art that seems to inspire rage and fire to even the coolest hearts. What I love more is this starry background. It seems even more peaceful with the skull of a fox glaring through it. The art of this pack is from Hiratsugu, who ate the Oni of Chaos. This man holds a massive sword and it seems like he is roaring through massive amounts of seals around him. We can see an ogre army in the bottom right who seem to be praying to their master to not eat them. And having an Oni ogre around that has been torturing creatures for ages now, that must mean that he has a massive army by now, and I think Kamigawa might now have a lot of time before it's eaten as a whole, or maybe they just have a few minutes. Very dynamic work by Sensu. This shrine is slightly different than the one of Rage. This one seeks wildness and grand strength. It is seen in Chishiro's story as it has influenced the boar god that used to be in Chishiro's sword, into being a mindless angry pig. Chishiro did succeed in calming down the pig, showing this Kami that sometimes we are stronger while being calm. This beautiful painting lady is the bearer of memories. She is painting warriors, fractals and fallen enemies who will be remembered for her neon-infused paint. One beautiful detail is that the same paint is on her clothes and on her face as if she is crying. Sometimes memories can be tough to carry. Her ability is that she can put +1 counters on enchantment creatures, showing that she strengthens the story creatures that come from sagas in this set. Not everyone is true to memory or history though. This puppet comes from a puppeteer that does not care if the story is true. As we see from the flavor, they just want to entertain. Their ability means that you can proliferate counters or remove them. Therefore it works with saga counters too, enabling this card to literally change history. The Kami first started attacking Kumano because he would hold a secret about late Emperor Konda, which he did not. Some other people did, and the reveal to the masses is what we see here. Up above we see Sisters of Flesh and Spirit. Kyodai is the spirit essence of the border between flesh and spirit, being an aspect of Okagachi, and guardian of the same border. She was stolen by Lord Konda long ago. Then Michiko, Sister of Flesh, is a human that was linked to Kyodai the moment she was split off from Okagachi. This is because every spirit needs their reflection in the human world. This is why Michiko and Kyodai are actually one. We see the stealing of Kyodai in the first chapter, where a creature is exiled. She is returned in the second chapter. Konda is seen down below in the belly of smoke and death. Smoke for his secrets and death for the war he caused with them. His fragment is very poetic. When his secret was revealed, his body was set to stone and then shattered in 1,000 living pieces. As Konda had taken one fragment from Okagachi, leaving the massive Myojin in pain for years, now Konda would have to suffer the same fate, being fragmented into 1,000 pieces. Meanwhile, as a stone fragment, he can't really attack. He can defend, but when you break him further, you are sure to reveal more of the secretive secrets and will draw a card. One story I would have loved is if Konda would be the one to have spread misinformation about Kumano, and that Kumano would have had to kill Konda. But as he was still alive in 1,000 pieces, Kumano would have to search for all of them in order to kill the man again. This 5 mana 4/4 lets you make a 2/2 when she enters and attacks. A 4/4 and a 2/2 for 5 is actually pretty worth. But you need an artifact and an enchantment, which is not too hard to get on Kamigawa. But this is more interesting because of the state of Kamigawa. See, after the Kami War, humans and Kami were at peace, but magic sets need war. So now the war is between using artifacts and enchantments on one part and between who gets to use them. Still, one order believes in both, and they flock under Naomi, who says to bring order and an end to petty quarrels, while favoring progress itself. We move on to a simple snack that's stronger when he gets to inherit a weapon or enchantment from a predecessor. Most impressive is the art from T-Track, showing beautiful flowered trees, a sharp sword being held out of its sleeve as the potential of its glistening metal dawns on us through the inventful eyes of the snake samurai. As society progresses and swords are being passed on, buildings become taller, nature is being driven out. We see this on Kamigawa by nature either becoming very angry or nature adapting to new circumstances. Trees don't really have much of an option, so Boseiju just endures. Their ability is that if you cut it down by its way too thin roots, you can channel its powers to destroy an artifact, enchantment or non-basic land, and let your opponent get a land for it. This is an insane ability on something that can just as well be an untapped land, as it's a direct upgrade from a forest. This is why the card is so heavily costed too. Boseiju is the only tree left of massive parts of Jukai Forest, leaving many Kami of these forests weak or angry. The white paper that hangs from its leaves are meant to show that this tree is sacred. So sacred in fact that the people of Kamigawa are now afraid of Kami attacks and have vowed to not move in further into the forest. As Boseiju is surrounded by buildings, it keeps growing to stay the tallest thing around. The Kami of Boseiju must be granting boons to people in tune with nature, trying to win back parts of the city as it stands tallest of all the lands. And with that, I would like to offer you the boon of my thanks for watching. Bye.